You should not have to go to church to know that God loves you. I started dedicating all the time I used to spend at church to spending it at the gym. 15 hours a week spent at church when I should have been taking care of my body. I literally hired other people at the church to act as a bodyguard against me. Mormons are too busy going to get their swig to realize that sugar is an addiction. If you are not selfish in life, people will disrespect you. First, want to preface this video by saying if you are Mormon or if this is my Mormon family watching this, trigger warning, it might get a little heated and this video may not be for you unless you're ready to hear my experience and be willing to hear me out. Just wanting to share my experience with being a part of the Mormon church and also growing up obese. So, welcome back to my channel. I am Living Lindsey, and I help others get their dream bodies through living a healthier lifestyle. Today's topic, I want to unravel the topic of Mormonism and how it's connected with obesity. As I've reflected on my health journey, my fitness journey, and my overall weight loss journey, I've noticed that a lot of this stems from my scarcity mindsets and restrictive mindsets stemming from Mormonism. So let's get right into it. Number one, restrictions. So I grew up in a very restricted environment and it was very subtle, and I was born as a Mormon. Well, you're not born Mormon, like it's not genetic, it's a choice, but basically I was obviously birthed into a family where Mormonism was very prominent, and this just became a part of my set of beliefs growing up and a part of my routine and my day-to-day. And I just saw it as normal. It was just my way of living growing up till I was about 17. I grew up with subtle restrictions on how I could dress, speak, what I could eat and drink. For example, the Word of Wisdom basically outlined a whole diet of what I could eat and what I could not eat. For example, Mormons can't drink coffee, which I kind of understand because it's high in pH levels and it's not that great for your gut. You can't drink coffee, you can't drink black tea. Well, the Word of Wisdom specifically says no hot drinks, but you're allowed to have hot chocolate, which kind of contradicts the two, which does not make any sense at all. But the Word of Wisdom also talks about not eating a lot of heavy meats during the summer, eating more of the heavy meats during the winter, which I understand that one. No alcohol, no caffeine, but you can have a little bit of caffeine. So since birth, I kind of grew up with an outline on what I could and could not eat and drink. And this was just normal to me, and I didn't even see it as restrictive until I grew up and reached 17, where I was like, whoa, I'm feeling restricted in my body. I'm feeling like I have to hide myself. And looking back, these subtle restrictions and outlines for my life caused me to overconsume and use food as an outlet, which later led to my alcoholism because I needed an outlet growing up and I didn't realize that this was a thing, but basically I was afraid of being seen for who I was, and so I was using food as an outlet to kind of suffocate my body and stay hidden by just over consuming. And I really think that subtle restriction or restriction in your diet as a whole leads to overconsumption of food, and it leads to binge eating. It leads to you wanting to rebel against something and you wanting to push outside of yourself without shoving it down in yourself. Do you know what I mean? Started binge eating specifically in my teens, and I'm not saying that this is all the Mormons church fault, not by any means, but I just want to provide a safe space for those who have grown up Mormon and maybe are dealing with the same things, or they don't realize that they're dealing with the same problems that I have experienced, so that I can help impact the Mormon community to improve these health conditions, because it's definitely hard to go through. And I'm just really glad that I've been able to get to this point of really healing from it and understanding kind of more of my background. These restrictions led to me binging and led to me seeing food and viewing food as an outlet, which led to overconsumption, which led to me gaining weight over time. And I reached 300 pounds back in 2017, and I knew I needed to make a change, and I just did not even know where to start. See, when you are restricted and you grow up feeling restricted, you need some sort of outlet, whether that's drugs, alcohol, food, addictions. Anything can be addictions, and what the Mormon church does not realize is that sugar is an addiction. And Mormons are too busy going to get their swig to realize that sugar is an addiction. And it's so heavily promoted in the Mormon community that sugar is completely fine. Like, I found myself just craving sugar constantly, craving carbs constantly. You go to Linger Longer and there's just sugar everywhere. You go to church even and you're sitting in sacrament meeting and you're eating candy. You're shoving candy down your throat as an outlet. It's a coping mechanism for comfort. This literally leads to binging, and it's not good. Sugar is in itself an addictive substance, more so than caffeine, more so than alcohol, more so than drugs even. Sugar is an addiction. Anything can be addictive. Sugar is the gateway to overconsumption, because when you're constantly suffocating your body with sugar, you just get that high, all of a sudden are craving more sugar and more sugar and more sugar, and at a certain point that sugar is just not enough. Surrounded by sugar all the time, and it's like not a good atmosphere to grow up in, and I think that we can really improve this. I became an alcoholic because, once again, I needed a coping mechanism to escape, to rebel against the traditional standards of what I grew up in. I think that anything in moderation is fine, but it comes to a point where you have to draw the line and realize that certain issues in your life are not moderation. Similar with my example about sugar, it wasn't moderate. If we have more of a mindset that is surrounded with moderation, then we can approach these standards better and really improve the Mormon atmosphere. If we don't focus on restriction as much and we focus more on moderation with all of the things that we're doing in life, then we can promote more of a non-judgmental atmosphere and more self-love, self-care, and self-acceptance for some of the addictions that we may not know we even have, like our phone usage and sugar addictions and carb addictions and everything like that. And I don't think that we should see addictions as something bad, because anything can be addictive, and I just want to encourage a more positive atmosphere in the Mormon church surrounded with more moderation in everything, so that we don't get to the point where we have to live in restriction, which causes you to binge and rebel against the current standards, because nothing is bad in life. Nothing is bad. It's like yin and yang. You can have the good and you can have the bad, but it's all about moderation and staying educated on these topics regarding sex education, regarding your health, regarding self-care, self-love. There should be no shame or guilt in the Mormon church, and all of which to say has led me to feel extreme amounts of guilt and shame for just trying to escape a restrictive mindset and find myself again. You know, we do not need to live in scarcity or restrictive atmospheres. That's just going to push us over the edge. That will add up to you eventually either suffering from addictions or gaining weight or just living a horrible, sad life, which is what I have experienced. So that is why I am here. In my whole life, I have just wanted to experience the feeling of comfort within my body, the feeling of comfort knowing that I can act and be my true self around people without the fear of judgment, without the fear of me intimidating people. I just have always wanted to live as myself. I've never wanted to feel restricted in my body. I've always wanted to feel comfortable. And I think that finding comfort in yourself and really sitting with that is so important, versus going after something else and using other substances and other foods to comfort your own body and escape your body. That's just not good for you. It's not healthy. And I think that if we can improve this more positive atmosphere in the Mormon church surrounded with moderation, this would go a long, long, long way. My highest drinking streak was 26 days in a row, and at this point I was waking up every morning and puking up bile, which completely destroyed my gut. This led to a lot of guilt and shame within my body at where I was at in that point of my life. And although I was succeeding in school and I was studying hard, literally drunk, I used to do homework drunk, but don't worry, I still passed college, so I'm very proud of myself. But I was always looked at as this bad kid growing up in the Mormon church, and I never felt like I belonged anywhere, and I never felt comfortable in my body or comfortable around the people that I was with because I felt so absurdly restricted and like honestly fearful that if I did something bad or if I messed up or if I made a mistake, I'd have no one to go to. Because the thing is, bishops are not trained professionals. They're not trained to be therapists, and anyone at the Mormon church, all the members just view bishops as like a therapist, and you need to go to them for all your problems. And the thing is, we need to go to God for all of our problems. We don't need to get approval from our bishop. We don't need to get approval from anyone in the church. We don't need to people please either. We're taught to sacrifice ourselves and sacrifice for others, when really we should be taking care of ourselves. It's okay to be selfish sometimes, because if you are not selfish in life, people will disrespect you and people will make fun of you and people will take over your life and take control over your life, and it's not up to us to control everything. We can't control anyone. And I honestly felt super controlled growing up. Like I was a little puppet master in my family, and I was always constantly judged. No one should be judged for trying to be themselves. No one should be judged for going through hard times. And we need to let go and give it to God and encourage more of a non-judgmental atmosphere at the Mormon church. If you constantly judge people, if you constantly ridicule people and act like they're an outcast, something is wrong with you. There is something you are not facing within yourself to be treating people like that. And that is just not okay, and that should not be normalized within the Mormon standards. And I'm not saying that it is normalized, but seriously, I have encountered so many people that have talked bad about me, have stabbed me in the back, have literally hired other people at the church to act as a bodyguard against me. And I did nothing wrong. The thing is, I've done nothing wrong growing up other than being myself. The worst thing I would do at church is probably laugh a little bit too much, because I've always tried to make these harsh topics more encouraging and more positive and more fun, because I needed an escape, and obviously I could not escape until about 17 or 18. I am just so glad that I was able to make a change and overcome my alcoholism by finding new healthy ways, which leads me into the next topic, which is the amount of time I have spent at church in my entire life, which I think led to obesity. I was always at church, an hour every day before school, 5 days a week for seminary. I was forced to go to seminary so that I could get into Mormon college, which obviously that was not a part of my path, and I'm glad it wasn't. Otherwise I wouldn't have met such amazing people at college, and I probably would have dropped out, let's be honest. Church before school, 5 days a week, that's 5 hours a week, okay? Then Wednesday night activities were 3 hours a night, and then church at the time was also 3 hours. So that is over 10 hours right there, like 11, 12, not including driving time, which I lived far away from the church. So that's about 15 hours a week spent at church when I should have been taking care of my body and taking care of myself, cooking myself healthy meals, and going to the gym, okay? They do not teach you at church to spend time on yourself. They want you to be worshiping God. They want you to be worshiping others and serving others, which we can totally do that every day by just being ourselves and being in our authenticity, but only if we're taking care of ourselves, because we should be looking at ourselves as number one priority. So that is why I think that the time spent at church led me to developing obesity over time, because from 1 year old to 17, I was at church for over 12 hours a week. And all to say that just all goes back to restriction and feeling restricted and growing up in a cage. But I'm really glad that I broke free from it. It was basically like having a part-time job, going to church. And I did love growing up with certain people. Like, I met one of my best friends at Mormon girls camp, and we've been best friends for over 12 years. And I'm really thankful for that. And I've met a lot of cool people as well. Gone to EFY and like summer camps and stuff. But anyways, I think that the time I spent at church propelled my obesity by not dedicating more time into me. And that's when I started really seeing results, is when I left at age 17, like in 2017 or 2018, I started dedicating all the time I used to spend at church to spending it at the gym and to taking care of my body. And that's when the real results came into play for me. So I think that the church can definitely encourage more balance with the time that we spend at church. And also, I want to say that you do not have to go to church to be loved. You should not have to go to church to know that God loves you, because we are all children of God. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all spiritual beings, and we're loved on this earth. And it's okay to be seen. It's okay to be heard by God, and it's okay to listen to what your body needs in this lifetime. And to me, that's self-love, and that is God loving and taking care of me. I honestly praise Him for that, because without God, I would not have lost 111 pounds at this point. God has always led me to this divine path of learning to encourage more of a positive mindset and a more abundant mindset and a more athletic atmosphere for myself, and overall just a happier life. Not being Mormon, technically I still am, okay? Like, I'm not bashing on the Mormon church. I mean, kind of. But I am just trying to encourage more of a positive atmosphere within the Mormon church based off of my personal experiences, because it's something that needs to be talked about. Okay, are we ready for topic number 3? Modesty. Growing up, I was taught that I needed to be modest. I needed to be reverent. I needed to be innocent. I needed to people please. Modesty led to my fear of being seen. My fear of being seen led me to overconsumption and hiding in my body, and I felt like I was suffocating in my body growing up, constantly using food as comfort, food as an escape, so that I wouldn't even have a chance to show off my body. I grew up thinking that I can't show my shoulders, I can't show my chest, I can't show my thighs. I've been told that my thighs are too thick to wear short shorts, told that I needed to wear an undershirt if I wanted to wear spaghetti straps. And I still, to this day, feel weird going out in public or working out with just a sports bra on, even though I have a hot body for it now. Like, I still feel weird, and this is something I'm honestly trying to work on. And same with showing my chest. Like, I have this weird thing about not wanting to show my chest or not show too much skin. Over time, I'm learning that that's okay. I grew up thinking that spaghetti straps, bikinis, short shorts were completely a sin. It made me kind of a judgmental person, to be honest, and it changed my viewpoint and perceptions of people around me. And I honestly was like envious of people that had the body to wear these things and had the parents that literally acted like it was okay. Modesty definitely perpetuated my fear of being seen and over-consuming with food as comfort. Honestly, modesty and the fear of being seen led to a lot of guilt and shame within my body, and I've worked really hard to release that by working out and by healing and journaling and just trying to live in a more positive state and truly just having more self-acceptance for the beauty of my body, because everyone's bodies are different. We're all beautiful, and I'm so glad that God created us as different individuals, because if we all had the same body, we would not be unique. Like, we would not get the opportunity to admire people in this lifetime. We would not get the opportunity to admire ourselves and admire our insecurities. Honestly, just love the fact that I've learned to love all of my insecurities. I love my stomach now. Like, I used to hate my stomach. I freaking love my stomach. I almost just swore. Sorry, guys. I fucking love my stomach now. I'm gonna say that right there. I fucking love my stomach and I love my thick thighs. It just makes me me, okay? Like, I've been through a lot and I'm allowed to show it off. We're all hot in our own ways, okay? Anyways, so I definitely think that modesty led to my fear of being seen, and my fear of being seen perpetuated more obesity in my lifetime. Are we ready for number 4? I think we are. This is honestly like the biggest thing that I've continuously had to heal in my life, which is a scarcity mindset. So I obviously grew up thinking that food was scarce. Mormons literally have food storage because we fear that food will not be available to us the next day for some reason. And all to say, it's really great to prepare. We shouldn't have the mindset that anything bad is going to happen to us, because we're meant to live a good and abundant life that is full of being seen, that is full of being ourselves, that is full of authenticity, and is full of so much love and self-acceptance for ourselves. We do not need to fear or live in fear and live with a scarcity mindset around food. I honestly always wondered when my next meal was, and I grew up as the oldest sibling, so when my parents would come home from the grocery store, a lot of times I would like race to the groceries and like try to like shove it all down my throat. You know the guy in Matilda eating the chocolate cake? That's how I felt when my parents came home from the grocery store. I was just shoving it down, and I was also like hiding the food. I remember we had these bins and I labeled all of them, and I would take all my snacks and put it in my own bin because I was afraid that my younger siblings would get to all the food, which is like kind of normal in a sense because you always want to have good snacks on hand. Also, growing up, I was always scolded or yelled at, just told that I need to finish my plate. Let me know in the comments below if your parents have ever said that to you. I think that's like very common, but that is a sign of scarcity and having a scarcity mindset. We do not need to save all of our food. We do not need to live in a state of fear surrounding food, because food is always available to us. And food is never scarce. Food is always abundant. Food is always available to us, and healthy food is always there when we need it. Anyways, the scarcity mindset can be passed down from generations to generations. Our parents and our grandparents and their parents can be in the bloodline because they have their own set of experiences, their own set of beliefs surrounding food. Sometimes this can be promoted onto children. It's up to us to heal those set of beliefs and scarcity mindsets when it comes to food. So if you've ever been scolded or yelled at as a kid to finish up your plate, otherwise you'd be put in timeout or whatever, punished or whatever, not your fault, but you should look at those experiences as an opportunity for growth to heal your scarcity mindset, because still to this day I find myself like trying to shove food down my throat and finish my plate, but I'm getting to the point where I'm like recognizing my mindset surrounding my portions, and I can like honestly acknowledge that, hey, like I'm full. I do not need to finish this meal, and I don't need to finish my bowl or my plate. I also don't need to save it for later, because I often find that when I do save like the remnants of my plate, I don't even eat it the next day, because I'm like on to the next meal that I'm craving. Like I'm just not there for it. So, and you don't need to have guilt or shame, especially if food has gone bad in your fridge, because food is always available to us, okay? To us to live in abundance and change our mindset surrounding food and our set of beliefs, and honestly our identity, because when we grow up with an identity of being Mormon, or just like having an identity in general, if you didn't grow up Mormon, that we're always finishing our plate, that we always have to eat the food in front of us, that we cannot throw food away, that we have to save it for later, that is part of your set of beliefs, and your set of beliefs become a part of your identity and it becomes who you are. So that is why you cannot see as many results when you are living in a state of fear and restrictive environments. I'm really happy to talk about this topic today because it's something that I am healing today. If you are interested in healing your mindset surrounding food, in my Mindset for Healthy Living workbook, I have a bunch of secret prompts that you can journal about to help you heal this. And it's really beneficial because I have a whole manifestation method that actually works because I manifested my dream body, but it literally actually works to help you rewire your mindset surrounding food and who you identify as a person in general. So if you're interested in that, I will link it down below. And I'm like so excited about it because it's been something I've been trying to put down on paper for the past 4 years after I lost 111 pounds. If you're interested in that, grab it down below. Here are my solutions to make the Mormon community a more positive environment so that we can thrive in our bodies and love ourselves and be surrounded by amazing people and not feel the need to rebel and restrict ourselves and live in more of an abundant state. Encourage a non-judgmental atmosphere by promoting more self-acceptance with the people surrounded by us. We find ourselves judging people. You need to honestly sit with it and understand what is wrong with you to be judging people in the first place. You need to go to the gym, heal your body, let out all those negative emotions. Let it all out. Move out all the toxic energy. Let that go. Let that go! Host more educational seminars regarding food and the importance of eating a healthy and clean diet, and also host seminars about fitness and really how to prioritize it in your day-to-day life. I also think that if there are any church activities going on or linger-longers, that we can bring more healthy food like fruits and veggies. And I'm not talking just like a tray you get from the grocery store. Like, actually take the time to put love in the food that you buy and cut it up and create an array of beautiful food full of color and bring it to church. Overall, I think that we can encourage and promote more moderation and less restriction. When you promote restriction, you just need to release all of that control. It's okay if people do not live by a certain standard. We do not need to live up to people's expectations of us. Because yes, we can have high standards for ourselves and our self-worth, but at the same time, if we restrict ourselves, that's not good either. So moderation is key here. This is a topic I didn't even get to cover in today's video, but hosting seminars about sex education. There, I said it. Saying the word sex is so taboo to me today still. And I'm like, whoa, like I shouldn't, like I'm 26, like I should not be afraid to say the word sex, okay? Like, it's a part of life. I just grew up thinking that this was such a taboo topic, and I think it's so important for not only your protection in your body, but just knowing who to go to and who to learn from. Like, if you're not taught by your parents, very beneficial for the Mormon parents that don't want to teach it to their kids because they're too worried about it. Like, they're too fearful about their kids doing that. But it's so important for people to have the knowledge surrounding sex so that we can be safe, we can be protected. Not having a very high education in this topic can lead to the fear of being seen and more guilt and shame in your body. And we do not want that. We want to live in abundance. We want to live as ourselves and explore ourselves and be our hot, sexy beings that we are. And it's not something to be fearful of. You are not sinning by talking about it. Like, there's no harm in talking about it, and it's so stupid that the Mormon church perpetuates it as a sin. Yes, it is very sacred, but it's also something that we can talk about in a more positive delight. It's a part of life. It's part of why we are on earth, because we all want to create. We all have this innate sexual nature about us. So that is something that we should be able to talk about, the Mormon church. Those are all the ways that I think that we can heal, just make the Mormon community as a whole more healthy, more aligned in our divine selves, in our authenticity. If you are living in a restrictive environment, toxic environment, I am here for you. It's okay to stand up for yourself. Do not be fearful of standing up for yourself with anyone in this lifetime. All we have is ourselves. At the end of the day, if we can't live in a lifestyle that is true to us, we're just going to be living for everyone else and suffering in our bodies our whole entire life, and that's not what we want. We're allowed to live a good life. On my channel, I just really want to promote abundance and self-confidence and health and wellness This is just my experience on how growing up Mormon has affected my set of beliefs surrounding food and my body, and how it's just overall affected my identity and the way that I view myself, the way that it's affected my obesity and growing up obese. If you are Mormon and you've gone through some of these feelings, or even if you're not Mormon and you gained some sort of knowledge from this video, I hope that you guys enjoyed. Stick around. I'll be sharing a lot of tips and knowledge on weight loss in general and how to live a healthier lifestyle. So thankful for you all. If you are watching this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can support my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.